The galaxy had long believed humanity was too weak to matter. Their ships were small, their weapons old, and their numbers tiny compared to the great alien empires. Among those who refused to accept this was Commander Lila Cruz, a young but sharp officer of the Terran Defense Fleet. She stood on the bridge of the cruiser Odyssey, her eyes fixed on the starfield ahead. The ship was battered, its hull scarred from past battles, but it still flew. That was all that mattered. The Odyssey was one of only a dozen human warships left after the Krell, a brutal reptilian species, had crushed most of humanity's forces in the Battle of Proxima Vale. The Krell thought humans were soft, fragile, and foolish for daring to resist. They laughed at human broadcasts, mocked their courage, and called their fleet a joke. But Lila had seen what humans could do when pushed to the edge. She knew they were not weak. They were just waiting for a chance. Her second-in-command, Lieutenant Maya Peterson, walked up beside her holding a datapad. "Scanners show 3 Krell dreadnoughts heading for Ceres Station," she said quietly. "They'll arrive in 6 hours," Lila nodded. Ceres was the last free human outpost beyond Mars. If it fell, Earth would be exposed. And Earth had no shields, no fleet, no hope left, unless someone stopped the Krell now. "How many ships do we have?" Lila asked, though she already knew the answer. "Just us," Maya replied. "The others are either destroyed or still in dry dock. We're alone." The bridge crew fell silent. Everyone knew what that meant. 3 massive Krell warships against 1 small human cruiser. It was not a battle. It was a death sentence, but Lila did not flinch. "Plot an intercept course," she said. "We're not letting them reach Ceres." Maya's eyes widened. "Commander, that's suicide." "Maybe," Lila said, turning to face her. "But if we stay here and do nothing, billions die. I'd rather die fighting than watch Earth burn from a safe distance." Something in her voice made the crew stand taller. They had followed her through fire before. They trusted her. And right now, trust was the only weapon they had left. Orders were given. Engines roared. The Odyssey turned sharply and shot toward the incoming Krell armada, its thrusters burning hot. On the lead Krell dreadnought, Warlord Graktor lounged on his command throne, scales glinting under the red emergency lights. His ship was twice the size of a human carrier, armed with plasma cannons and shielded by layers of reinforced alloy. He had crushed dozens of human colonies without breaking a sweat. To him, humans were insects, annoying but easily crushed. When his sensor officer reported a single human ship approaching, Graktor let out a low, hissing laugh. "1 ship? They send 1 ship to stop us? How amusing." His officers chuckled, claws tapping on consoles. "Shall we destroy it now, Warlord?" "No," Graktor said, waving a clawed hand. "Let it come closer. Let them see our might before we erase them. It will be a lesson for the rest of their kind." Back on the Odyssey, Lila reviewed the final phase of her plan. It was not much of a plan, more of a desperate gamble built on secrecy, timing, and human stubbornness. Deep in the ship's core lay Project Phoenix, a prototype gravity pulse generator. It couldn't destroy a dreadnought, but it could disrupt its systems for a short time, just long enough to strike. She activated the ship-wide comm. Her voice was calm, clear, and steady. "Listen up, everyone. The Krell think we're weak. They think we're afraid. They think 1 ship can't change the course of this war. Today we prove them wrong." She paused, letting her words sink in. "We don't fight because we're strong. We fight because we care. For every child hiding in Ceres, for every family preying on Earth, for every dream we've ever had. We fight, and we win." A cheer rose from every deck. Engineers slapped consoles. Gunners checked their targeting systems. Medics prepped for casualties. Fear was still there, but it was buried under something stronger. Purpose. As the Odyssey closed the distance, Lila gave the order. "Activate Project Phoenix." Deep inside the ship, the device hummed to life. Energy coiled through its core, building to a silent peak. Then, with no flash or explosion, it released a pulse of distorted gravity that rippled through space. On the Krell ships, alarms suddenly died. Lights flickered and went dark. Weapons powered down. Navigation failed. For 30 seconds, the mighty dreadnoughts were blind, deaf, and helpless. On the Odyssey, Maya shouted, "Pulse successful. All Krell systems offline." 30 seconds, Lila said. "Fire everything. Target engine cores and bridge modules." Missiles launched in rapid succession. Railgun slugs tore through the void at hypersonic speeds. Point defense lasers stitched patterns across the Krell hulls, striking known weak points. Coolant vents, sensor clusters, weapon mounts. The first dreadnought shuddered, then split apart in a silent bloom of fire and debris. The second listed heavily, its engines dead, drifting like a wounded beast. Only Graktor's flagship remained mostly intact, but its main weapons were offline. They're rebooting systems, Maya warned. Then we finish this, Lila said. She rerouted all power to the forward thrusters and the main cannon. Overload the reactor in 5 minutes. You're going to ram them? Maya asked, horrified. Not ram, Lila said. Distract. While they focus on us, Ceres launches its hidden fleet. Hidden fleet? Ceres has no fleet. They do now, Lila replied. For weeks we've been smuggling ships in. Old freighters turned into gunships, repair drones armed with missiles, even mining rigs with shield emitters. They're small, but they're ready. As if on cue, dozens of human vessels burst from Ceres' hidden bays. They were not sleek warships, but they were fast, agile, and full of fighters who had nothing left to lose. Graktor, finally regaining control of his bridge, stared in disbelief as his screens filled with human signatures. How do they have more ships? But there was no time to understand. The Odyssey, glowing red from engine strain, charged straight at his flagship. At the last possible second, Lila fired the main cannon, a single, focused blast that punched through the Krell bridge. Graktor had just enough time to roar in fury before his ship exploded in a fireball that lit up the dark. The last Krell dreadnought, crippled and leaderless, tried to flee, but the human swarm surrounded it, tearing it apart with relentless precision. Within minutes, it too was gone. Silence returned to the sector. The Odyssey drifted, its hull breached, its power fading. Smoke curled through the corridors. Wounded crew members helped each other to the medbay. But they were alive, and they had won. On Ceres, crowds gathered at every viewport, watching the lone human cruiser float among the wreckage of the mighty Krell armada. Cheers rose, echoing through the station's halls. Children waved handmade flags. Elders wept. Back on the bridge, Lila slumped into her chair, exhausted but smiling. Maya handed her a cup of water. You did it, Commander. We did it, Lila corrected softly. All of us. News of the battle spread faster than any ship could fly. Across the galaxy, species that had ignored or scorned humanity now watched in stunned silence. One small ship, one brave crew, and the impossible had happened. The Krell Empire, once thought unshakable, began to crack. Rebellions flared in their occupied systems. Other alien races, inspired by human defiance, reached out with offers of alliance. The tide of war turned, not with a bang, but with a whisper of courage. Weeks later, Lila stood on the bridge of a new ship, the Odyssey II, gifted to humanity by grateful allies. It was faster, stronger, and built with alien tech, but it still bore the same name. She looked out at the stars, no longer just distant lights, but a frontier of hope. They had mocked the small human army. Then they saw what it could do, and they would never underestimate it again. After the victory at Ceres, the galaxy changed. What was once a scattered resistance became a growing alliance. Species that had hidden in fear now stepped into the light, drawn by the courage of one small human ship and the woman who commanded it. Layla Cruz did not seek fame, but it found her anyway. Her name was spoken in hushed tones on 100 worlds, not as a soldier, but as a symbol. Yet she remained on the bridge of the Odyssey II, eyes sharp, mind focused, knowing the war was far from over. The Krell Empire had suffered a blow, but it was not broken. Deep in their core territories, warlords gathered, furious and humiliated. They refused to believe that soft-skinned mammals had bested them. Graktor's death was called an accident, a fluke. They vowed to crush humanity not just for defiance, but for the shame it had brought upon their honor. Meanwhile, on Earth, celebrations were short-lived. The United Earth Council knew the Krell would return, and next time they would not send 3 ships. They would send 30, or 300. Humanity needed more than courage now. It needed time, weapons, and allies who would stand and fight, not just whisper support from the shadows. Lila received new orders. She was to lead a diplomatic mission to the Vira, a reclusive avian species known for their advanced energy shielding and strict neutrality. If humanity could convince them to join the alliance, their defenses would become nearly unbreakable. But the Vira had refused all contact for decades. They saw war as a disease and warriors as carriers. The Odyssey Second set course for the Vira homeworld, a planet of towering crystal spires and wind-swept plateaus. Lila brought only a small crew. Maya Peterson, Chief Engineer Dana Wilson, and xenolinguist Riley Ford. No soldiers. No weapons visible. Just a ship, a message, and hope. When they arrived, the Vira did not fire. They did not speak. They simply surrounded the Odyssey II with silent, elegant fighters that moved like birds on solar winds. Then a voice crackled over the comm. Calm, melodic, ancient, human vessel. You are not welcome. Leave or be disabled. Lila activated the comm. We come in peace. We ask only for a chance to speak. Peace is a word warriors misuse, the voice replied. You destroyed 3 Krell dreadnoughts. You are warriors. We fought to protect our home, Lila said. Not to conquer. Not to rule. Only to survive, silence followed. Then land at Spire 9. You will be watched. One wrong move and your ship will fall. The Odyssey there descended through clouds of silver mist, landing gently on a platform of polished stone. Outside, the air was cool and clean. Tall Vera stood waiting. Tall, feathered beings with eyes like polished obsidian and wings folded neatly against their backs. They carried no weapons, but their presence was enough. Lila stepped out first, hands open, empty. Behind her came Maya, Dana, and Riley. They walked slowly, respectfully. An elder Vira approached, her feathers streaked with white. I am Kaylin, she said. Why should we trust you? Because we do not ask you to fight, Lila replied. We ask you to help us shield our children. Your shields can save lives without a single shot fired. Kaylin studied her. You led the ship that destroyed the Krell Armada. I did. Then you are a killer. I am a protector, Lila said. There is a difference. Kaylin turned and walked toward the spire. Follow. You will speak before the Council of Winds at dawn. That night, the humans were given simple quarters, open rooms with soft mats and flowing water. No doors, no locks. Just trust, or the illusion of it. Riley worked through the night, refining translations. Dana checked the ship's systems just in case. Maya kept watch, though she knew escape was impossible if the Vira turned against them. At dawn, they stood before the council, a circle of elders perched on high ledges inside a vast chamber open to the sky. Wind whispered through the crystals, creating soft music. Lila spoke without notes. We did not choose this war. The Krell came to our worlds, burned our cities, enslaved our people. We fought back because silence meant death. But we do not want more war. We want peace. And peace needs protection, she paused. Your shields can give us that. Not to attack, but to hold the line until the storm passes. If you say no, we will leave. We will not beg. But know this, if the Krell crush us, they will come for you next. They do not honor neutrality. They honor only power. A young Vira in the back spoke up. How do we know you will not use our shields to become conquerors yourselves? Lila looked at her. Because we have had the chance. After Ceres, a dozen colonies offered us control. We refused. We rebuilt their governments, not replaced them. Power is not our goal. Survival is, Kaylin rose. The council will decide. Hours passed. The humans waited in silence. Finally, Kaylin returned. We will share our shield schematics, but only for civilian stations, not warships. Lila bowed her head. Thank you. That is all we asked for. As they prepared to leave, Kaylin added, one more thing. My granddaughter wishes to join your crew. Lila blinked. She is Vira. We are human. She is curious, Kaylin said, and brave. Her name is Syl. She will serve as observer. If you harm her, our alliance ends, Lila agreed. And so Syl, a young Vira with bright eyes and quick hands, came aboard the Odyssey II. She moved with grace, learned human systems faster than expected, and often perched on the ceiling during briefings, wings half open. On the return journey, a distress signal crackled through deep space. It was faint, broken, but unmistakable. It came from a human freighter, the Starling, carrying medical supplies to Mars. It was under attack. Krell raiders, Maya said, scanning the signal. 2 light cruisers. They're tearing the Starling apart. Lila's jaw tightened. Plot intercept. Full speed. Commander, Dana said, we just got shield tech. We're not ready for another fight. Those are doctors and nurses on that freighter, Lila said. Not soldiers. We don't leave them. The Odyssey Tisku shot toward the coordinates. When they arrived, the Starling was listing badly. Hull breached, engines dead. Krell raiders circled like vultures, firing at escape pods. Syl, watching from the sensor station, let out a sharp cry. They are shooting the pods. Why? Because they enjoy it, Lila said coldly. Weapons hot. Target their weapon arrays first. Disable, don't destroy? Why not destroy? Syl asked. Because we are not them. Leela replied. The Odyssey II opened fire. Its new Vira-enhanced shields flared as Krell shots bounced off. The raiders, surprised by the sudden resistance, tried to flee, but the human ship was faster now. Within minutes, both cruisers were disabled, drifting. Lila ordered a rescue operation. Every pod was recovered. The Starling's crew, 23 medics and engineers, were brought aboard, shaken but alive. One of them, a young medic named Tara, hugged Lila tightly. We thought we were dead. Not while we're still flying, Lila said. Back on Earth, the rescue became another story. The image of the Odyssey II shielding escape pods while Krell fire bounced off its hull spread across the nets. Hope grew. Volunteers flooded recruitment centers. Factories ran day and night. But the Krell were not idle. In the dark heart of their empire, a new weapon was being built. A planet cracker cannon capable of shattering worlds in a single shot. Its first target was Earth. Lila learned of it from a captured Krell officer broken by Syl's truth-singing, a Vira ability that made lies impossible. The cannon, called the Worldbreaker, would be ready in 10 days. 10 days. The Alliance held an emergency meeting. Some wanted to flee. Others wanted to strike first. Lila proposed a third option, sabotage. We can't destroy it from orbit, she said. But if we get inside, we can overload its core. Suicide, said a reptilian delegate. Maybe, Lila said, but better one ship than one planet. To her surprise, Syl stepped forward. I will go with you. The Worldbreaker uses harmonic resonance. My people understand such things. I can find its weakness. Maya and Dana volunteered without hesitation. Riley stayed behind to coordinate intel. The mission was set. They stole a Krell cargo hauler, modified it to look battle-damaged, and flew straight into the heart of enemy space. The Worldbreaker hung in orbit above Krell Prime, a monstrous ring of black metal pulsing with red energy. Using forged codes and sheer nerve, they docked at a maintenance bay. Inside, the station was vast, filled with Krell engineers and guards. Syl led them through ventilation shafts, her senses tuned to the station's energy flow. They reached the core chamber, a cavernous space where the cannon's heart glowed like a dying star. Dana planted the charges. Maya hacked the security grid. Lila stood guard, pistol ready. But as they prepared to leave, alarms blared. They had been discovered. Krell soldiers poured into the corridor. Lila fired, covering their retreat. Syl used her wings to knock enemies off balance. Maya triggered a lockdown, buying seconds. They ran, hearts pounding, back to the hauler. Behind them, the charges ticked down. They barely cleared the blast radius when the Worldbreaker exploded. Not with a planet-shattering boom, but with a silent, inward collapse. The ring crumpled like paper, its energy consumed by its own instability. The Krell fleet scrambled, confused and enraged. But the Odyssey the Kun was already gone, vanishing into the dark. When they returned, Earth did not cheer. They wept. Then they stood taller. The Krell, for the first time, felt fear. Lila looked at her crew, human and Vira, tired but unbroken. They had done the impossible again, not with numbers, not with might, but with heart. And the galaxy watched silent as the small human army proved once more that courage needs no size. The destruction of the Worldbreaker did not end the war, but it changed its shape. The Krell were no longer just angry, they were afraid. Fear made them reckless. Instead of sending fleets, they began striking at supply lines, poisoning water worlds and hacking civilian networks. They wanted to break humanity not with fire, but with despair. And for a time it worked. Colonies whispered of surrender. Hope grew thin. Lila Cruz felt the weight of it every day. She stood on the bridge of the Odyssey II. Not as a hero, but as a woman carrying the silence of too many losses. Her crew moved with quiet purpose, their faces drawn but determined. Syl, the young Vira observer, now wore a human-style uniform, her wings folded tight against her back. She had stopped being just an observer. She was one of them. Then came the message from Titan. Titan was a mining colony on Saturn's largest moon, home to scientists, engineers, and families who had chosen isolation over the chaos of Earth. They had stayed neutral, refusing to join the Alliance, believing distance would protect them. But the Krell had found them. Not with warships, but with something worse, a bioplague. The distress call was weak, broken by static. They did not invade. They dropped canisters. The air is poison. Children are dying. Lila played the message 3 times. Each time, her hands tightened on the console. Titan had no military, no defenses, just people trying to live. "We have to go," she said. Maya frowned. "Titan is deep in Krell-patrolled space. It's a trap, maybe," Lila said. "But if we don't go, those people die alone." Dana, the chief engineer, nodded. "I've been modifying the air recyclers. We can filter most known toxins. If we move fast, we might save some." Sil spoke softly. "My people once faced a sky sickness. We survived by sealing the spires and singing clean air into the vents. I can help." So they went. The Odyssey 2 slipped through asteroid belts and dead zones. Its engines throttled low, its signature masked by solar flares. They arrived at Titan under cover of a methane storm. What they saw broke their hearts. The domes were cracked. Lights flickered in the dark. Outside, bodies lay wrapped in emergency foil, untouched by the cold. Inside, the survivors huddled in central labs wearing makeshift masks, eyes hollow with exhaustion. A woman met them at the airlock. Dr. Nina Cole, her face pale, her voice hoarse. "You came," she whispered. "We didn't think anyone would." "How many are left?" Lila asked. 42. "Mostly children. The plague attacks the lungs. Adults die first." Lila turned to her crew. "Seal the ship. Activate full decon. Dana, link our filters to their life support. Sil, do your song. If it works, it might buy time." For 3 days, they worked without rest. The Odyssey 2 became a floating hospital. Medics from the ship moved between domes, carrying oxygen tanks, administering antivirals, holding hands as fevers raged. Sil perched in the main ventilation hub, her voice rising in a low harmonic chant that seemed to calm the air itself. Engineers patched hull breaches. Cooks made broth from emergency rations. On the 4th day, a Krell scout ship appeared on long-range sensors. "Just one," Maya reported, "but it's broadcasting. More will come." Lila looked at the dome. The children were sleeping, breathing easier. The plague was receding, thanks to a mix of human medicine and vira resonance, but they were still weak. "Evacuation would take hours. We can't leave them," Dana said. "We won't," Lila replied. "We hide." They powered down the Odyssey 2, letting it drift among the ice rocks of Titan's rings. They coated the hull with reflective dust to scatter scans. Inside, all non-essential systems went dark. Even the lights dimmed to a soft red glow. The Krell scout circled for hours, scanning, probing. Once it passed so close they could hear its engines through the hull. Sil held her breath. A child coughed and everyone froze, but the scout moved on. It saw only ice, rock, and ruin. When it was gone, they began the evacuation. One by one, the survivors were brought aboard. Children carried in blankets. Elders helped by young medics. Dr. Cole was last, clutching a data drive. "All our research," she said, "on the plague. It might help others." As the Odyssey 2 lifted off, Lila looked back at Titan. The domes were dark now, empty, but they had saved 42 lives. That was enough. Back in Alliance space, the data from Titan changed everything. The plague was not natural. It was engineered, designed to target human DNA. But it had a flaw. The Krell had used a common viral base, one that human vaccines could adapt to. Within weeks, a universal inoculation was ready. The plague threat ended. Gratitude poured in, but so did fear. The Krell were changing tactics. They were no longer just warriors. They were scientists, saboteurs, liars, and they were winning the shadows. Then came the betrayal. A high-ranking Alliance officer, a reptilian named Vorlak, was caught sending fleet coordinates to the Krell. Under Sil's truth-singing, he confessed. The Krell had promised him a seat in their new order. He believed humanity would lose, and he wanted to be on the winning side. The Alliance fractured. Trust vanished. Species accused each other. Patrols stopped sharing intel. The front lines began to crumble. Lila knew what had to be done, not with force, but with proof. She took the Odyssey 2 deep into Krell space again, this time hunting a signal, a hidden comm buoy the Krell used to coordinate traders. It was guarded by a cloaked station orbiting a dead star. Getting in was near impossible. But Sil remembered an old Vira tale. A station like this would have a harmonic weak point, a frequency that would make its cloak flicker. Dana tuned the ship's comms to that frequency. For 3 seconds, the station shimmered into view. Maya fired a single drone. It latched onto the buoy, copied its data, and self-destructed. The data was damning. Lists of traders, payment records, Krell promises. Lila sent it to every Alliance world at once. Silence fell. Then unity returned. Forlack was removed. New oaths were sworn. The alliance stood firm again. But the Krell were not done. They launched their final move, not with ships but with a message. A broadcast sent to every human world. In it, a Krell warlord stood before a cage. Inside was a human child no older than 6 taken from a captured freighter. Surrender, the warlord hissed, or this one dies. And then another. And another. Until you kneel, the galaxy watched. Many believed humanity would break. Even some allies urged negotiation. Lila said nothing. She gathered her crew. She set a course. Where are we going? Maya asked. To the Krell broadcast hub, Lila said. It's on a moon called Karix. That's where they're holding the child. How do you know? Because I would, Lila said simply. They arrived under cover of a solar flare. The moon was small, rocky with a single tower jutting from its surface. The broadcast center. Sensors showed one life sign inside. Human. Syl's eyes narrowed. They want us to see the child. They want us to rush in. It is a trap. I know, Lila said, so we don't rush. Instead, Dana reprogrammed a mining drone they'd salvaged from Titan. Maya loaded it with a sonic pulse, a non-lethal weapon that disrupted nervous systems. Syl tuned it to the Krell's hearing range. They sent the drone in first. It burrowed through the rock, surfaced inside the tower, and released the pulse. Krell guards collapsed, stunned but alive. Lila and Maya stormed the tower. They found the child, unharmed, scared but safe, locked in a glass cell. The warlord was there too, reaching for a kill switch. Lila shot the console, then she picked up the child. On the way out, the Krell fleet arrived. 6 warships, blocking their escape. Maya's voice was tight. We can't fight them. Lila looked at the child in her arms, then at her crew. We don't have to. She opened a channel. Krell fleet, your warlord is captured. Your broadcast is over. Release the child and you get him back. Harm one human world and he dies. Silence. Then slowly the Krell ships parted. The Odyssey 2 flew home. The child was reunited with her parents on Mars. The warlord was handed over to the Alliance for trial, and the Krell for the first time backed down. After that, the tide truly turned. World after world rose up. The Krell Empire began to collapse from within. Rebellion spread. Supply lines broke. Their fear became their undoing. Months later, Lila stood on the observation deck of a new station, built by human and Vira hands together. Earth was safe. The colonies were rebuilding. Peace was not here yet, but it was coming. Syl landed beside her, wings rustling. They still call you the shield of humanity, she said. Lila smiled. I'm just a woman with a ship. No, Syl said. You are the reason they believe small things can matter. Lila looked at the stars. They were no longer just points of light. They were homes, futures, promises. The galaxy had mocked the small human army. Then it saw what it could do, and now it listened. Peace did not come with a treaty or a grand ceremony. It came quietly like dawn after a long night. The Krell Empire had shattered. Its warlords turning on each other, its fleets scattered or surrendered. Across the galaxy, worlds began to heal. Trade routes reopened. Children played outside without fear, and humanity, once mocked as too small to matter, now stood as a pillar of the new alliance. But Lila Cruz did not feel like a pillar. She felt tired. The weight of command of lives saved and lost sat heavy on her shoulders. She still walked the decks of the Odyssey 2, but her steps were slower, her eyes distant. The crew noticed. They said nothing, but they watched over her as she had once watched over them. Syl, now fully accepted as part of the crew, often found Lila on the observation deck, staring at the stars. One evening she landed beside her, wings folding with a soft rustle. You are thinking of leaving, she said. Lila did not answer at first. Then how did you know? Your silence speaks louder than words, Syl replied. And your hands no longer grip the console like you expect battle. Lila sighed. I've spent years fighting. I don't know how to stop, but I also don't know how to keep going. Syl tilted her head. You do not have to fight to matter. You taught us that. Before Lila could respond, an alert chimed softly through the ship. Maya's voice came over the comm. Commander, we're receiving a priority signal from the Outer Rim. It's strange. Not Krell. Not Alliance. Unknown origin. Lila straightened. Play it. The bridge lights dimmed as a hologram flickered to life. It showed a barren moon. cracked and dry with a single structure. A tower made of black stone covered in symbols no one recognized. A voice spoke, calm and ancient. To those who hear this, we are the last of the Zenth. We did not join your war. We watched, and now we offer a choice. Come alone. Come in peace. Or do not come at all. The transmission ended. Zenth? Dana asked from engineering. I've never heard of them. Riley, the xenolinguist, pulled up archives. There are myths. A species older than the Krell. They vanished centuries ago. Some say they ascended. Others say they hid. Lila studied the image. Why now? Why us? Because you are the one who listens, Syl said. After a long silence, Lila made her decision. We go. But only the Odyssey 2. No weapons charged. No threats. Just us. The journey took 2 weeks. The moon, named Alara, lay beyond known space, wrapped in a field of cosmic dust that scrambled sensors. As they approached, the black tower pulsed with a soft blue light. They landed. Lila stepped out alone as requested. The air was thin but breathable. The ground crunched under her boots. Before the tower stood a figure, tall, slender, with skin like polished obsidian and eyes that held galaxies. You came, the figure said. Its voice was neither male nor female, but deep and resonant. I did, Lila replied. Who are you? I am Kale, the last Zenth. We built this tower not to hide, but to wait. We waited for a species that would win a war not through strength, but through mercy. Lila frowned. We fought hard. We lost many. Yes, Kale said, but you spared your enemies when you could. You saved children. You protected the weak. That is rare. Why does it matter? Because power without wisdom destroys, Kale said. The Krell had power. They are gone. You have both. And so we offer you a gift. Kale led her inside the tower. The walls shimmered with moving light. At the center floated a sphere of pure energy. This is the core of our knowledge. Navigation, medicine, energy, history. Everything we were. We give it to you, not to rule, but to share, Layla stared. Why us? Why not the Vira? Or the others? Because you are the bridge, Kyle said. You are small, yet you stand tall. You are young, yet you choose wisely. The galaxy needs a heart. You have one. Lila reached out but did not touch the sphere. I cannot accept this alone. It belongs to all of us, Kale smiled. Then bring your crew, she did. Maya, Dana, Riley, Syl. They entered the tower together. The Zenth watched them silent as the sphere split into 5 smaller orbs, one for each. They did not burn or shock. They simply merged with their minds, filling them with understanding. When they returned to the Odyssey 2, they were changed, not in body but in vision. They saw connections between stars, patterns in energy, cures in light. They knew how to heal broken worlds, how to grow food in dead soil, how to speak to species without words. But with knowledge came warning. Kale's final message echoed in Lila's mind. Use this to lift others, not to rise above them, or you will become what you defeated. Back in Alliance space, they shared what they had learned, but carefully. They taught, not gave. They guided, not commanded. Farms bloomed on ruined planets. Clean water flowed in dry cities. Ships flew farther, safer, faster. Yet not all welcomed this change. A faction of former Krell loyalists, calling themselves the Iron Claw, claimed humanity was using the Zenth gift to control the Alliance. They spread fear. They sabotaged peace talks, and they began gathering weapons. Lila tried diplomacy first. She met their leader, a scarred Krell named Vorak, on a neutral station. We mean no harm, she said. You give us food, then we depend on you, Vorak growled. You give us ships, then we owe you. This is not peace. This is soft chains. Then take nothing, Lila said. We will not force help on anyone. But Vorak did not believe her. Days later, the Iron Claw attacked a Vira medical outpost, killing 12. They left a message. No more gifts. The Alliance demanded action. Some called for war. Lila refused. If we fight them like enemies, we prove them right, she told her crew. We show that peace was just a pause. So she did something unexpected. She took the Odyssey 2 to the Iron Claw's hidden base, a derelict asteroid fortress, and landed alone, unarmed. Vorak met her at the airlock, blade drawn. Why are you here? To listen, Lila said. For 3 days she stayed among them. She ate their rations, slept on their floors, heard their stories of lost families, broken honor, fear of being forgotten. She did not argue. She did not preach. She listened. On the fourth day, Vorik lowered his blade. "You are not what I expected." "Few people are," Lila said. She offered them a choice. Join the Alliance as equals with no strings or remain apart, but stop the violence. To everyone's surprise, Vorik agreed. The Iron Claw disbanded. Many joined reconstruction efforts. Others left to find new lives. Peace held. Months passed. The Odyssey the Coup became a symbol, not of war but of hope. Schools taught Lila's name not as a warrior but as a peacemaker. Statues were proposed. She refused them all. One evening, as the ship orbited a newly green world, Syl found Lila packing a small bag. "You're leaving," Syl said. "Yes," Lila replied. "My time as commander is done. Others can lead now. I want to walk on real grass. See a sunrise without alarms," Syl nodded. "Then I will stay. The Alliance needs Vira voices too." They embraced. No tears, just gratitude. Lila handed command to Maya. Dana became chief engineer of the new Fleet Academy. Riley opened a Xenolinguistics Institute, and Syl was named ambassador to Earth. On her last day aboard, Lila walked every deck one final time. She touched the walls, the consoles, the old scar on the bulkhead from the series battle. Then she stepped onto the shuttle. As it lifted off, the crew lined the observation deck, hands raised in salute. Lila did not look back. She settled on a quiet island on Earth, far from cities. She grew vegetables. She read books. She watched the stars not as threats but as friends. Years later, a young girl found her sitting by the shore. "Are you Leela Cruz?" she asked. "I was," Lila said. "They say you saved the galaxy." Lila smiled. "No, we all did. I just showed up." The girl sat beside her. "Will you tell me a story?" Lila looked at the horizon where the sun met the sea. "Once," she began, "there was a small ship and a crew who believed in each other, and the story lived on. The galaxy had mocked the small human army. Then it saw what it could do. And in the end, it learned that the smallest light can drive away the deepest dark." Years had passed since Lila Cruz left the stars behind. She lived quietly on a coastal island where the only alarms were seabirds and the only battles were against stubborn weeds in her garden. Her hands, once steady on a ship's controls, now tended tomato vines and mended fishing nets. The galaxy moved on. New leaders rose. New ships flew. But her name never faded. It lived in songs and school lessons, in the quiet pride of those who remembered how close the darkness had come. Then, one morning, a shuttle landed on the beach. It was small, sleek, and bore no markings. From it stepped Syl, older now, her feathers streaked with silver, her wings carrying the weight of decades. She walked barefoot through the sand, her eyes scanning the cottage until she saw Lila sitting on the porch, sipping tea. "You look well," Syl said. "You look tired," Lila replied. They sat in silence for a while, watching the waves. Finally, Syl spoke. "Something is wrong." Lila did not ask what. She already knew. The calm in Syl's voice was too thin, like ice over deep water. "It started 3 months ago," Syl said. "Ships began vanishing near the outer rim. Not destroyed. Just gone. No debris, no signals. Then a distress call from a virus scout. The last words were, 'They are not Krell.'" Lila set her cup down. "Who? No one knows. But they move like shadows. They use no known engines, no known weapons. And they leave behind a single symbol, a circle with a line through it." Lila's blood ran cold. She had seen that symbol before. Etched into the walls of the Zenth Tower, Kale had called it the mark of the Void Walkers, beings the Zenth feared not as enemies but as silence itself. They were not a species. They were a force. Ancient, hungry, and drawn to knowledge. "The Zenth warned us," Lila whispered. "They said if we used their gift carelessly, we would wake something older than war." Syl nodded. "The Alliance is panicking. Some think it's a new Krell splinter group. Others blame rogue AI. But I know better. I felt it in the void, the absence of sound, of life, of hope. Why come to me?" Lila asked. "I'm retired. Because you are the only one who faced true darkness and chose light," Syl said. "And because the Odyssey 2 still flies." Maya kept it ready. Just in case. Lila looked at her hands. They were older now, lined with time. But they remembered the feel of a ship's controls. They remembered the weight of command. "One last mission," Syl said softly. Lila stood. One last mission. They returned to orbit aboard a silent shuttle. The Odyssey 2 waited in dry dock, polished and powered. its hull bearing the scars of legend. Maya greeted her with a hug and no questions. Dana was already in engineering, running diagnostics. Riley had compiled every report on the disappearances. The crew was older, but their eyes still burned with purpose. "We don't know what we're facing," Maya said, "but sensors show a distortion near the dead zone of Sector 9. That's where the last ship vanished." "Set course," Lila said. The journey took 6 days. Space grew colder, emptier. Stars seemed dimmer. Comms picked up only static. Even the background hum of the universe faded. Then they saw it. A rift. Not a black hole, not a wormhole, but a tear in reality itself. Around it floated wreckage. Human, Vira, Krell all fused together as if time had melted them. And in the center a shape emerged. A vessel unlike any other. Smooth, black, featureless, with the circle and line symbol glowing faintly on its side. "No energy signature," Dana reported. "No life signs. But it's watching us," Syl shivered. "It is not a ship. It is a mouth." Lila activated the comm. "This is Commander Lila Cruz of the Terran Alliance. Identify yourself." No answer. Only silence. Then the rift pulsed. The Odyssey 2 shuddered as if space itself was pulling it apart. Shields at 80% and dropping. Maya shouted, "Reverse thrusters!" Lila ordered. But the engines groaned and died. The ship was caught. Syl closed her eyes. They feed on knowledge. On memory, on stories. That is why they took the others. Not to kill, but to consume. Lila understood. The Voidwalkers were not conquerors. They were erasers. They sought to unmake what had been learned, spoken, built. "Then we give them nothing," Lila said. "Shut down all data cores. Purge the logs. Wipe the Zenth knowledge from our systems." "But that's everything we are," Riley protested. "No," Lila said. "We are more than data. We are choices. And right now we choose to protect what matters." They worked fast. Dana rerouted power. Maya initiated memory wipes. Syl sang a Vera Null song, a melody that erased echoes, leaving only silence. As the last file vanished, the rift shuddered. The black vessel tilted as if confused. "It doesn't understand," Syl said. "We gave it nothing to eat." "Now we run," Lila said. Miraculously, the engines sparked back to life. The Odyssey 2 tore free of the rift's pull, racing back toward known space. But the Voidwalker did not follow. It simply watched and waited. Back at Alliance headquarters, Lila stood before the Council. She told them everything, not as a warning, but as a lesson. "We cannot fight this with weapons," she said. "They do not care about metal or fire. They care about meaning. So we protect meaning. We share stories. We teach children. We remember the names of the lost. That is our shield." The Council listened. For the first time in years, they agreed. Not on strategy, but on spirit. A new protocol was born. The Memory Watch. Every ship now carried oral historians, songkeepers, and storytellers. Data was backed up not just in servers, but in voices, in hearts. The Voidwalkers did not return. Or if they did, they found nothing to take. Years later, Lila stood again on her island, this time with Syl beside her. The sun set in gold and purple. Children played on the shore, reciting tales of the Odyssey 2, of Ceres, of Titan, of the Rift. "Do you think it's over?" Syl asked. "No," Lila said. "But as long as someone remembers why we fought, why we saved, why we chose mercy over might, the darkness will never win." A young boy ran up to them, breathless. "Tell us about the black ship," he begged. Lila smiled. "Once," she began, "there was a tear in the sky," and the story continued. The galaxy had once mocked the small human army. Then it saw what it could do. And now it knew that the greatest weapon was never a cannon or a shield, but a story passed from one heart to another, lighting the way through even the deepest void.